Hello and welcome to the third round of the Precision Sim Engineering DTM-ISH Lockdown Series by Nicola Palacci. We are here on the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, a historic racetrack near the city of Monza, north of Milan in Italy, built in 1922 with 11 legendary corners. My name is Tobias Brockmann and I bring you the action as a German today with two more nationalities next to me at the comms, because we got Chris Pirro here as well, as is Jack Hawksworth. So Chris, you clearly being Italian should know Monza best.
Hi guys. Yeah, well, look at it, nice and sunny place. Sadly, we can't be there in person today, but hopefully we can make up with that soon. For now, I guess we can enjoy it virtually. We can see them enjoy this. Sadly, we can't even enjoy the nice pizza and pasta they would give us there, but we'll make do with what we have.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Jack, you're with us as well, also having experience driving IndyCar, but of course also this nice Cadillac. Tell me something about you and the viewers, and also what do you think about this car choice?
Well, I think we're in for a great race. I tried a few laps in the Cadillac myself, and I can tell you it's not the easiest thing to drive in the world, so these guys are going to have their hands full today. Monza, obviously one of the most historic circuits in the world. Really long straights into really tight chicanes, big braking zones. So I think it's going to present a lot of overtaking opportunities, a lot of opportunities for lunges and things like that, which should keep us pretty entertained throughout the day. And yeah, I raced there in real life last year in the One Pan Series, and I can tell you that it's still one of the best racing circuits in the world. And I think we're going to see something pretty exciting today. I'm looking forward to it, Tobias.
So how does it feel like being in a pack of GT3 cars in this One Pan Series, racing towards turn 1 here?
Pretty crazy, especially when it's raining, which it was doing last year. We had a weekend full of rain. you can't see a lot on those straights, and especially with the modern day cars with the big diffusers on the back of them, the visibility when you follow in other cars is very difficult. So I think one of the unique things about Monza as well is, especially in the rain, obviously weather looks great today, but when it's wet around this circuit, because of the different shades of the Mac, you tend to take the karting line in a lot of the corners. And what I mean by that is, in the rain you'll be braking off the rubber, braking on the inside, going back to the outside of the circuit, searching for grip. A bit like you see in karting when it's wet. So not driven there in the dry for a while, but I assume it's going to be a standard line today, looking at the weather.
Yeah, talking about lines though, Chris, I heard some of the drivers that used to race virtually as well, that were today in the VLN, telling about you can't take the sim line tonight, but a few tried it, but on the sim line, for example, you're way more on the grass or these the bumpy parts of the track on the outside of it, as we see Mike Rockenfeller racing as well, Chris. So what do you think about lines in sim racing compared to the real life?
Well, I guess, you can probably risk it a little bit more in the sim world because, if it goes wrong, it's not as wrong as in real life. The one thing that in real life is more difficult to police, are track limits. So here you're probably able to, you can try it out and you can see instantly if it works or not. But it's a computer deciding whether you're offline. So I know I had a look at my brother racing today, a couple lines before, and checking where the track limits were, and some of the curbs that maybe in real life on the exit you can run wide, here is maybe not going to be possible because iRacing is going to count this as a track cut. So potentially in qualifying this might be a problem. In the race you can use a couple jokers, but this might make a difference throughout the race.
Alright, so let's look at our starting grid. From P1 it will be the sim racer from Team Heusingveld, Niels Sandkowski, followed by Daniel Nesterovic from Scandinavia, Mike Rogan in third position, and Mike Rockenfeller starting from a strong fourth. Ben Haley then on fifth position, Martin Elsner following on sixth, Nicola Palaci, the series boss, as well on seventh. Well, and Chris, you know P8 pretty well.
I know P8. Looks like he was not able to set a time or went over the track limits. This we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you said there were some internet issues today. Yes, the field is a lot thinned out than last time, but Jack, as we discussed earlier off stream, real racing has started again.
Yeah, no, real racing started, which is great. Good to see it back, and I myself will be racing the IMSA Series next week at Daytona, so can't wait to hit the circuit. And here we are, the cars are gridded up. So Nicola Palaci, P7 on the grid there. It's probably going to be his best qualifying session of the of the series so far. So congratulations to him. It's been a great lap.
I feel a little bit of. I mean, he was saying we like live feeds because whatever. But we wait now for the green lights as we go for green here on the Monzani circuit, and there it is in a poor start. It looks like from Daniel Nesterovic, as some contact already happening with Mike Rockenfeller into turn one, Chris.
Yeah, well, turn one's always the tricky one in Monza with such a tight chicane going in. We'll see if there's any contact, but it looks to be relatively clean through there. Not often does it go this way.
Yeah, Palaci already taken by Pero here. Jack, so what do you think about this start right here?
Yeah, amazingly clean, no contact, which was quite surprising. Even in real life, normally we see some shunts down there, so I expected to see a few cars going off, but all being very well behaved so far.
Yeah, and look at this brake in action. I mean, Mike Rogan already. Oh, there somebody missed his braking point into the second chicane. That's the 25.
Looks like Ben Hanley, yeah.
And he spun around Nicola Palaci, which is sad for him though, Jack.
Yeah, that's sad.
The two Italians, the two home guys are out.
Oh, I think the Tifosi will not like this.
No.
Oh, another one. That's Martin Elsner.
Well, beginning to get a bit wild now. Halfway through the first lap.
Very good
position
to keep the car off the line, coming back on track. We've seen a lot of times with the guys spin and then drive right back on the racing line and more contact. Very good there, keeping the car off the main line.
I mean, it helps knowing that there is no damage activated for this fun session that we have tonight and for the fun race. I mean, it's sad to see 8 guys because it feels like these, small support series that race before the GT3 bad boys and stuff. But to be honest, only 8 people is also a lot of fun. But look at Nils Sankowski. He's already away by 2.5 seconds in front. I mean, he's a sim pro, but let's see what Mike Rogan and Nesterovic will do, Jack.
Yeah, that was a great start from Sankowski, and he's done exactly what he needs to do here. He's managed to break the toe, which is obviously very important at this track with the long straights, and he just needs to hit his marks now and get into a good rhythm.
And it looks like he will do. There is maybe a possibility to get through. Looks very well defended here. So Rogan stays in front of Nesterovic, but Rockenfeller, of course, the car with the number 1, which is the turquoise car, second in the image here, is closing up to them, Chris.
Yeah, well, Rocky has a lot of real racing experience, so we'll see how he can put his actual experience in, let's say, use this to his advantage. You know, yes, it's sim racing, but at the end of the day, nothing, you know, you cannot buy racing experience, overtaking experience, and we'll see how he goes on.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, I have some experience, I would say, but that's just driving a car fast on a racetrack and not overtaking those. So Rockenfeller might have a lot of, let's say, advantages in this case because of just experience that he gained not only in the sim, but of course in the real life. I mean, which is quite obvious, I would say, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, this is shaping up to be a really interesting race for second here. So far, Rogan's done a really good job of defending, but we do have 16 minutes of this race to go, and he's under a lot of pressure. So usually when you're defending this hard and there's still 16 minutes to go, you're generally in trouble. So I don't see, by the looks of it, the guys behind have a little bit more pace right now. So we'll see if they can get him into, maybe Parabolica this lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's always worth a try, but sometimes you can slingshot yourself out if you go from the outside. But now it looks like a side-by-side moment up to turn 1 with Rocky maybe giving some bump draft action here to Rogan. Yep, it looks like it.
Yep, there you go. That's where the experience comes in.
I thought we were going to see 3 wide there for a second.
He tried though, I think he really tried. Now he's going for it. 3 wide we are, and looks like Rocky has the nose in front and he's through. That's very nice done.
Yeah, that was incredible. I can't believe there wasn't a shunt there. I thought that was for sure going to be some incidents and some paint traded.
Yeah, so Rogan and Nesterovic still asking themselves how that happened through turn 1, with Rockenfeller literally showing up half a lap prior to that situation and now getting away. I mean, his last lap time was 1:50.119er, which is about 1 second faster than Rogan and Nesterovic. So it's now a fight for third only.
But now it's Nesterovic's turn to, you know, follow them, see where they're going better, see if what they're doing differently, and see if he can improve to maybe attack later on in the race. You know, get in the rhythm if they're faster, see what they're doing differently, and use this to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, especially with 50 minutes to go, you still have some time at least to follow along and watch. Also, a nice gearbox there, a nice differential from the car in front. But he's still trying it though, very hard, which will cost both of them a lot of time, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, he is defending very hard at the minute. I don't know if that's probably the correct strategy at this point. I don't know if it'd be better for him to let Nesterovic go and just kind of tuck him behind. But there isn't really anyone behind him at this stage, so I guess defending is worth a shot at this point. What's going to be interesting here is to see what Rockenfeller's lap times are like compared to the leader. He's 3.7 seconds behind at the minute, and this is the first clean lap he's going to have. So let's see if he can make any inroads into Sankowski, and we'll see if we've got a race in our hands or not.
Now, just for comparisons, Sankowski did a 1:49.744 in his clean lap in the last time around, which is also his fastest. Rocky, just coming out of the overtaking lap and starting his new one, was at 1:50.155. So he was a little bit faster before, but Sankowski seems to have, he picked the pace up a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's got an advantage at the minute, and he's pulling away. So we'll see if he can kind of keep that pace for the majority of this race.
We saw very relaxed Nesterovic there on the onboard. Looked quite calm in the car.
Oh, someone had to slow down. That hurts. Rogan cut the corner a little bit too much, and the iRacing simulation directly handed him a slowdown of several points of a second. But that hurts, of course, because now he is the chaser.
Yeah,
and,
small mistake. It's undone everything he just done over the last couple laps.
I mean, Jack, you with the GT3 driving Blancpain, you certainly know how much it hurts when they tell you to ease off because you cut the course or get a penalty or anything.
Oh yeah, it's extremely frustrating, and maybe even more frustrating on iRacing than it is in real life. You know, because sometimes the computer is black and white, and if it feels like you've triggered an off track, it's instant 2 or 3 seconds that you have to give away. So you've got to be very, very careful, especially on a circuit like this with chicanes where it's easy to cut the corners. It's almost better to edge on the side of safety a little bit, you know, and give up a tenth or two than it is to really push the limits and risk that, you know, 3 or 4 second penalty, whatever it is, because it really does kill you in a racing situation, especially in these short races.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. But by the way, I like the fact, since we're only 8 people, our top 8 graphics down there can actually show the whole field in this situation, which is pretty cool, because we can never do that, because usually we have fields of multiple classes with up to 55 or 60 drivers even. And now we can try around a little bit. I don't know, Chris, do you prefer
Toby,
the tower or this one?
It's the small things in life, you know?
Yeah.
You've got to take what you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I like racing like this. It kind of feels like cup racing, as it looks like Nicola Palacci again has been off track to inspect the Armco.
Yep, and he's going to take a trip into pit lane. I think there's only so much damage one car can take, so he's bringing it in for his mechanics. Probably going to be a long 11 minutes for them.
Yeah, the longest 11 minutes in sim racing, probably. I mean, I remember, I think it was Nicky Katzberg. No, was it Katzberg? I don't remember. Oh, no, it was Kirchhoff, exactly. Team Redline, which also has signed some of real racing drivers for their sim racing endeavors. They started in the 2018 and 2019 Bathurst 12 hours here on the iRacing service. And for them, it was more 12 minutes of Bathurst, since they had an unfortunate accident at the dipper and smashed the car into the wall, which was almost directly game over.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, this is a sim, but the prep that goes in, I don't want to say is almost more than the actual, you know, real life racing, but you spend hours and hours and hours and days preparing this, and for it to go wrong so quickly is, you know, it's hard to swallow.
Yeah, I mean, especially as a driver, I mean, of course, the whole team is always working in the background in real life, but especially as a driver, the most track time you actually get for preparation is in iRacing, for iRacing races, for example, Jack. I know, I don't think you get so much track time before the races, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's very, very different, because, you know, in real life we're so limited in terms of the amount of days we're allowed to, and the amount of days we're allowed to practice, that you really have to, a lot of the preparation is done away from the circuit, you know, coming up with your strategy for the race weekend, your approach to the car setup, watching video, all this kind of stuff, whilst with iRacing there is the ability to practice 24/7 if you like. So a lot of these guys competing in these big races in sim racing, they are practicing every day, many hours, working on their driving, working on the setup of the model in the platform which they're using, whether that be iRacing, R Factor, you know, whatever. So there's a lot more, let's say, track time in this style of racing. So it's a very different approach, and I think that in some ways it makes it easier because you have more time to get ready, but at the same time, you know, the side effect of that is everyone has more time to get ready, so everyone's more prepared, everybody's putting in more hours, you know, which also makes it more difficult. Sounds like a bit of a contradiction, but it's a double-edged sword. You know, you have more time to prepare, but so does everybody else.
But
yeah,
there's sorry to interrupt you, Toby. In the 24 hours of Le Mans, they did the virtual Le Mans. There was guys practicing live, so you know, you're able to practice offline, off the server, and give feedback to try and help any problems your teammate is having in the actual race. So you have this advantage that in real life you'd never be able to run Le Mans during Le Mans. So you know, you've got to use this when you can.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That's also a thing. I mean, I remember back then when I was not in a simulation yet, like iRacing, but we still had a league in GT3 cars on the Hockenheim ring, 30 laps or something, and I was training for about 1,000 kilometers straight in the same session just to get everything perfect, just for this 30 laps race. So I actually get you, Jack. I totally get what you mean.
Yeah. It's actually quite interesting watching the times at the minute. I think that if Rockenfeller and Nestrokotsky can get a better start in the next race, we could have a pretty close race on our hands here, because the pace that the guys are running now at the front is pretty similar. You know, the guys in second and third weren't able to get the jump off the line. So if they can get a better start in race 2, I think we could have a 3-way race for the lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure though if they can actually pick up the pace enough to get to Sendkovsky here, because the lap times still look like he's a little bit faster, but Nesterovic and Rockefeller could well, there could well be another close finish. As you can see now, they're getting closer to each other, because look like Rockefeller had a slowdown.
But don't forget the corner cutting, the little mistake that might cost a small mistake, but the penalty might be very big. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean at Le Mans, if you before you get to the Mulsanne straight, if you get a little bit too far on the left, you get 4 seconds of penalty. So that's a little bit hard. And now we see Nesterovic in the slipstream trying to overtake on the outsides. It's a little bit harder because they both have the same color scheme, but the little black nose, that's the car of Nesterovic.
The penalties here, sorry to interrupt you again, Toby, is it's even more accentuated. The straights are so long, so any slight mistake you might make coming out of a corner will have a big penalty at the end of the straight, just because of the momentum, the speed you've lost going in. So it's even more than most tracks, let's say, same as in Le Mans.
Yeah, that's definitely true. All the tracks where you get from a very slow portion to a high-speed portion are very hard to do. And Nesterovic is through for the moment, as it looks like. And now it's Rockenfeller's turn again to get back to second position.
Yeah, that was a good move for second place. It'd be interesting now to see if with Slipstream Rockefeller can regroup and attack again for second position.
It's going to be interesting to see with these heavy cars actually on this kind of hot track today, how it looks like tire-wise, because of course they keep sliding around a lot with these cars. I mean, the Cadillac is a very, let's say, interesting project compared to one example René Rast said, where DTM car is very, very rigid and very stiff. This is all over the place. He literally said that. So you got a lot of body roll, a lot of slide as well. How could that affect the racing, Chris?
Well, firstly, I guess, can we say this is an American car? Not to speak badly about the American guys. Well, it's a little different. You'll probably be able to hit curbs a lot harder. I think with the DTM car, you might have to be a little bit more careful. You might you could overheat and wear the tires a little bit more with the big roll and the big, potential slides you have coming out of the corners. So you kind of have to watch out for the end of the race. So the last couple minutes might get tricky if you use too much tire coming out, if you're not as clean as you should be.
Yeah, I also wonder, by the way, why Nicola is having so many problems with that car. I mean, wasn't it him who prepared the setup for all these guys, Jack?
I mean, yeah, you would think so. I mean, everybody else seems okay though, right? So I think maybe he has a talent problem within the car. I sure hope that the setup is better than his driving, because this has been an unimpressive performance by Palaci up to this point.
But Jack, did he tell you about the extra 15 horsepower he had in his car, or did he only tell me? I'm not sure if
I think he kept that one secret. I think he'll have to up it. Probably, to be honest, I think he needs another 200 horsepower if he wants to compete at the front.
By the way, it almost sounded like from the cockpit cam that Rockefeller again had a slight penalty because he really had to let go of the throttle there. So again, Rocky may be giving it too much here, but third position at least is better than 8th with a lap down.
Yeah, he needs to be careful though, because Rogan's not too far behind in 4th, so 1 or 2 more of those penalties and he could find himself off the podium.
Yeah, Chris, and you don't want to see Rocky losing a podium, right? I mean,
no. Let's hope he keeps it up. Let's put it this way. Not cheer for the other guys, but
but he's closing in again a little bit, so that works. And as long as he can get away from Rogan, who's already 1.9 seconds behind him, that's fine, because 1.5 is the difference now to Nesterovic. But as we've seen, these gaps don't mean anything, literally, because they keep making mistakes all over the place, collecting incident points and, of course, slowdowns. Apart from Niels Sendkovsky, who's still strong in 1st place. Usually, when we don't show your car very often, you're either last or you're either 1st with a lot of a gap. So that might be something good to not see him on screen so much, Jack.
Yeah, for sure. He's clearly having a good time out there, and he's pulling out a good gap, and he's kind of, I think he's put the race to bed at this point. Really good performance. Shout out to Nicola as well on that lap. Palachi, he was only the second slowest out of the 8 cars, so I think that was an improvement. So well done, Nicola. Keep it up, mate.
Maybe we can share some of
his best lap times though was 1:51.174. So it's not that bad of a best time. And his last
it's
lap
not bad.
Yeah,
I just wonder how many chicanes he cut on that lap.
I think none, because, okay, 2 minutes 2 now. Come on, Nicola, you can do better than that.
But as an Italian, you know the shortcuts is, like in Mario Kart, there's a couple little secret places that you only get with an Italian passport.
I'm happy that the Italian guy in this group said it. All right, 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. I think the Brazilian is already laughing as much as he can because he deactivated his microphone, and it looks like you would say Rocky is losing time looking at lap 6, 7, and 8, but in fact he gained about 0.2 of a second. So it's not yet spoken who's in second place, depending on how many errors Nesterovic will make in these last, I think, 2 laps that we have. We're in lap 10 right now, and I think we're gonna get an 11th, depending on where Sankowski is right now.
Yeah, and I can tell you, it looks like there's a bit of a gap between second and third, and even third and fourth, but these guys can't afford to make a mistake at this point, because as we spoke about earlier with the off-track penalties, it's so easy, to drop a wheel, and trigger one of those. That this race is for second place is still very much on. So it's going to be an interesting couple of laps.
Alright, looking where Sankowski is, I guess very much that this is going to be the last lap. And now we have Ben Henley on screen again, who also had one of several mishaps that happened already during this race to some of the drivers, Chris. Yeah,
we lost him. We saw him on lap 1, sadly facing the wrong direction, and we've kind of lost him since, so it's good to see him still here and still going.
Yeah, he's in front of, I love that they called him Goofy Pirro. So tell us more about Mr. Pirro there.
Mr. Pirro, Goofy, Goffredo, also known as Goofy. My brother, he's a race engineer for Prema in Formula 4, so drives occasionally and quite keen on iRacing. So as you can see, we have our own custom Go Pirro livery here. We had quite a laugh making this, and
I just noticed it. I'm reading it totally wrong the whole race. I'm just seeing it. That's great.
Yeah, a little subtle, but we have a laugh with it, So yeah, he raced in the last one in Brands Hatch. Actually, it didn't go too badly, to be honest, and qualified for both races. And I think we were 7th and 8th or something or like this in the 2 races. Mm-hmm. He's having a couple issues with his PC before he got in, but so far so good, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. I mean, look at P8. You don't want to be last.
These are pro sim guys, pro racers, so you can keep your head up. And you've beaten the host, so sorry, Nicola.
By the way, something that I noticed only actually in Formula 4 when we were just talking about it. When I was in Hockenheim for the, I don't remember what I was there for, but I think it was GT Masters or DTM or something. But I was, after that, we're finishing right now. I'll tell you later that, because Nils Sankowski is now winning the first race with a 7-second gap to Nesterovic. And him and Rockenfeller should be here any minute as well. There they are in the background. And it looks like second place goes to Nesterovic and third to Rockenfeller. Fourth then will be Rogan in here. By the way, it's almost a good thing that Rogan didn't get the third position, because he's having mic issues today, so we wouldn't get an interview from him.
Hats off to Sankowski though, he did exactly what he had to do. First turn, stay out of trouble, and he just checked out. He got the gap, broke the toe, and left, and he went.
Yeah, I mean, that's really great. I mean, of course, you would expect that from a Team Heusingfeld driver to put up a show like this. A little bit like a one-man show, driving all the way up in front and not seeing him, not hearing anything about him, because it's just driving clean. So, Jack, how do you like his driving style?
Yeah, I mean, he made it look easy, didn't he? Clean and clinical. He, like you say, he got a great start, broke the toe, got his head down, pulled out a gap, and from there it was just a Saturday afternoon drive. So, yeah, great job by Sankowski, and he put on a masterclass.
Yeah, and let's look through the standings again. So was Nesterovic in second, Rockenfeller on third, Rogan on fourth, Ben Henley on fifth, Goffredo Piro on sixth, Martin Elsner on seventh, and the very, very sad Nicola Palacci on eighth place, and one lap down. The only one who's one lap down, but also the only one who went to the pits for 19.5 seconds.
Yeah,
So,
I'd be interested to know what his strategy was there.
maybe ask him to come to the interview as well. That would be great.
No, but a respectable top 8 finish for Nicola. You know, we got to hats off.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Okay, let's start out with Niels Sendkowski, then the team Team driver, to come in for the interview. By the way, my nickname for him is always Niels Sendkowski. So yeah, sadly we didn't see any overtakes from him today. But hello Niels, and welcome to our little small commentary booth. Of course, everyone having 1.5 meter of a distance to each other. Niels, you put quite a distance to all the others. What happened? Why were you so fast?
I don't know, but it was a good race. In the first corner there was a bit of a checkup behind me, I think, so I could already escape the draft in the first lap, and then yeah, just keep hitting my marks for the rest of the race, and that worked quite well, so I could gap everybody who was squabbling for positions behind me.
But Niels says, you know, we're in Italy. You could have had a quick espresso as well. You know, you built such a gap to the guys behind you. Congratulations.
Thanks, yeah.
There's a bar in outside Ascari, you know, just oh, congratulations, you really did what you had to do. First corner, no trouble, and checked out from there.
Yeah, I had a surprisingly good start considering I usually only do rolling starts in this car, but worked well. I guess that was the key to get a good race here, just to get a clean run through the first corner and then try to get away from the field.
Yeah. Great job, Niels. I'm just interested to hear, how strong is the toe on that track? Like, was it important to get a gap early so that the guys couldn't draft you?
Yeah, when the track was chosen, I was actually not that happy about it because usually Monza is obviously known as the draft track, and from a couple of official races I did in this car a couple of years ago or last year, the toe is quite strong, so you can definitely hang with somebody even if you're a few tenths slower per lap. But yeah, it's quite important to break the draft here in this car, so that's...
Well, you were definitely able to do that, so congratulations.
All right, Niels, yeah, have fun in the second race. Don't mess it up again. Maybe another win. Maybe we see you again. So have a good one.
Thank you.
So next one up with us, that's Daniel Nestorovic. He will probably say I butchered his name right now. Congrats to your second place, and you had quite a nice battle with Mike Rockenfeller for most of the race. Daniel can hear me and talk.
Oh, wrong button. Okay, here's the radio button. Yeah, that was a really fun battle with Mike, but opposed to Nils, I don't know how to do these starts neither, so maybe I can learn from him.
Yeah, I mean, we will see. I mean, you should know how to do these starts. I mean, driving for Elliott Racing Esports, I mean, you have quite some experience, don't you?
Yeah, and I do a lot of the caddy races, but as Nils just said, it's usually rolling start, and yeah, the clutch point here, I've got no clue. But it's fun, and it was really fun to battle up again from fourth.
So Chris, your turn.
Yeah, no, well done. You guys put on a good show. I think you guys had pretty much the entire race was following you. So, you know, the TV coverage was all yours. Niels sadly checked out, or sadly for you, checked out in the beginning. But I think if we're able to do it again, you know, for the next race, maybe if you can keep that draft out of the first chicane out of the Curva Grande, we might see a different thing. The lap times were close-ish. Hopefully you can use that toe, I guess. But from my side, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a key point. And if I get that, that's a chance. But if not, then he's gone. Let's see.
All right, Jack, do you got any questions for Daniel?
No, great job, Daniel. We hope you can get a better start in this next one. It sure looked like yourself and Rocky had the pace, perhaps, to keep up with Niels. If you can kind of get off the line and avoid the carnage early on. So yeah, we'll look forward to it. Good luck.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, but of course there's a third spot on the podium. Of course there was a second person involved in the fight with Nestorovic, and that is no one other than DTM champion Mike Rockenfeller. So welcome to our commentary booth, and congratulations to P3. Tell us about the fight you had.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. Well, I haven't driven the car since Brands, so I did the free practice, and you know, I'm still learning. Obviously start was pretty bad, as some other guys struggled. I hope they know to do better in the second race. But yeah, it was nice. I mean, especially the move from, where was I, P4 to P2 on the straight. That was pretty close and super fair from the others. I was pushing one car in front of me because I had a good exit, so I was just pushing him until we passed the other car next to me, and then I went to the right, and it was super fair. But then, unfortunately, I started to collect all these penalties in the first chicane. When you cut tiny bit too much inside on the right, the curb, then yeah, you immediately, which is right, obviously, you get the penalty and you need to slow down second or 1.2 seconds. So that didn't help. I think I got it like 4 times, almost in a row. And yeah, it's a fine line, but it's fun to drive. I mean, like the others said, there's some draft, obviously, on this track. So I just try to improve for round 2.
Yeah, in round 2, would you make a lot of differences in your driving, or would you keep on going the same way you did in race 1, apart of course from the cutting and slowdown?
Well, I try exactly. I try to get less of those penalties, and then I think driving style. Yeah, I'm learning. I'm not consistent enough. I think yeah, I just should have done a little bit more practice today. To be prepared, but yeah, you know, you have kids and a wife and nice weather. It's hard to go in the sim and spend some hours. So I enjoyed the day outside, and I was on my bike. So yeah, I took it as practice, and hopefully I can you know, fight for a podium again. The other guys are really strong. I mean, Niels obviously was just pulling away slightly every lap, and we were fighting too much. But I think if we keep it clean, yeah, in the front it could be a really good fight with the, let's say, top 4 or 5 cars.
Chris and Jack, of course, you can also point your questions to Mike.
Yeah, from my side, Mike, it's always great to see, you know, someone with your experience, see you use this experience, even though maybe the sim guys occasionally can go a little quicker because they know the sim better. You know, you cannot buy the experience you have in, you know, that you've accumulated in your career, and to see you do the overtakes like the one you mentioned, you know, the 3 wide, to know where to place the car, when to place the car. It's really cool to watch. So, you know, thanks for joining it. It's good.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, honestly, it's always good, you know, to have clean racing, and it's just the same as in real life. So it's really, really nice. And unfortunately, I didn't do enough of it in iRacing in the last, let's say, weeks, because I was busy with other stuff. But it's good. It's good fun, and the Cadillac is a handful for sure. But like you said, it's nice to battle with those guys.
I have one question though. Sorry, for the sim. Does it help you with a real sim, with the race car? You know, playing a lot online. Do you see any difference? Is there anything that can actually help you?
I think yes. I think a few different things. I mean, one is to learn a new track for sure, to get a rhythm. But I think the main thing is really to mentally to stay in touch with racing, especially in these periods right now where we had a massive break. It's just because you're still thinking about it all the time, and you know, you do a race, you're nervous at the start, you try, you know, to be on time when the light goes off, and all these things. And the racing, you know, when you race against those guys there in the front, it's where they place the car. I mean, they just do it as good as you do in a real life. So it's really cool, and I think it just keeps you mentally strong and trained in a way. Of course, physically it's not the same. I mean, this we know, but mentally, I think it's super close.
Right, Jack, something from you?
Yeah, good job, Rocky. We enjoyed the 3 wide overtake on the start-finish straight. That was a lot of fun. So good luck in the next one, and hopefully this time it's a battle for the lead.
Yeah, thanks, man.
If Niels doesn't know how to prevent that.
I think he does, unfortunately.
All right, I leave you three guys alone. You're free to join the DTM-ISH Drivers channel again that we put up. I'd love to hear, Rocky, you can send up Palachi though if you want to, because I want to hear what happened to him though. So that would be great.
Sorry, Did you speak to me?
Oh yeah, can you please send up Nicola when you're going down again, because I want to hear what happened to him.
Of course, I will.
All right, thank you. So yeah, Chris, I was talking about before with the Formula 4 topic at Hockenheim. I was at the grandstand from, I think it's after the hairpin, the one which used to be a manufacturer's grandstand, and actually there was someone from a Formula 4 team with a radio there, radioing to his team. So what are these guys doing?
Well, yeah, these are the let's say the driver coaches today. It's become a bit of, let's say, I don't want to say a fashion, but these guys, they'll sit in the grandstand, they'll look at the other cars. When you have onboard videos to compare, they'll be there to help as well, but your engineer can also do that. Whereas the driver coaches can go out, they can look at what you're doing, what the other guys are doing. Some of these guys have a lot of experience, so they can tell just by listening sort of, gear shifts, how many shifts down, where they're braking, where they're putting the car, how they're turning in. And all of this, especially Formula 4 guys, are often very young kids, maybe even the first year racing cars out of go-karts. So everything they can get in terms of information is good and helpful. So as you say, he'll sit there, he'll talk, he'll have his radio, talk back to the engineer in the pits, tell him what he sees, and the engineer can tell the driver directly if there's any major points that he thinks he should improve.
Okay, that's definitely interesting to know. Jack, do you want to take it away with Nicola? Because I think you have quite some topics to talk about.
Well,
oh, there he muted himself.
No, I think Nicola muted him. Definitely something going on there.
No. That was okay. Chris, you take it away then.
No. Nicola, ciao.
Knowing Jack is for sure his fault.
Yeah, I mean, he disabled his microphone and his speakers for some reason. Okay, let's hope it's back.
But that says a lot about the level of the driver I've been working with. So, I mean, that's very good.
Okay, Nicola, what happened to you? You spun out, I think, 1 or 2 times, headed into the pits?
Yeah, well, actually, I have a small contact at the start, which I thought I was going clean, and instead I got clipped in the back. But it was okay. I mean, and then at some point I was doing something with a race command here, and I forgot that there was the parabolica coming. So I basically went straight into the wall. And after that, I went to the pit and did few laps behind a couple of cars in front of me just to see, how my pace and where I was losing time, and then just cruising around and try not to make too much of a mess with the others.
By the way, Jack is back.
Oh,
sorry.
Here we go. Oh, here we go.
Sorry, guys. Hello.
Don't worry.
I saw. I was just going to congratulate you on your first top 10 of the series, I believe. Very well done. I was interested to know. I've been on you engineered for me in IMSA for 2 years, so I've been on the end of some of your dodgy strategy calls for. But I was really interested to see why you decided to make this a one-stop race.
Well, I was hoping for a safety car. And use I call it lucky dog, whatever it's called in iRacing.
Yeah. Judging by your pace, I think you need a few lucky dogs if you want to be on the podium.
Yeah, I think I need a herd of them. But nevertheless, it was fun. Yeah. I decided to pit after I went straight. I was just saying, I went straight in parabolica, forgetting that the corner was approaching. So I felt that without an engine, it was appropriate to go back to the pit.
Put some new super softs, qualifying fuel, and out you go.
Everything. Actually, I didn't know how to modify the fuel, so I went out with 90 liters instead of 60. Make it better, but yeah.
So you don't need to fill up for race 2.
I'll be beefed up for race 2. I'm gonna win with a large margin.
Sorry, Jack. I'll leave this one to you.
Well, to be fair, mate, I was watching your pace, and judging by your pace, there's definitely a 7th or a 6th in it for you here. So hopefully you can get off the line a little bit better. Maybe we could see you fight for the top 5.
Well, the problem was getting off the line because I was too much in the middle of route.
I mean, just in case, he can always use Audi tactics like in DTM.
Yeah, but better not.
Sorry.
No, for 2020, these were banned.
I make no further comments on that.
Yeah, but it is. By the way, tell us a little bit of some of the sponsors that we have for this series, because you know them best.
Yeah, actually, it was. I have to say, I was very pleased to get in touch with, especially performance seems that we had contact before due to, let's say, work-related agreement that we had. We were using some of their products, and then when I started this series, Simon Hudson, which is the owner of the company, was really positive in backing the idea, and I have to give good praise to him. Bringing over a contribution to the series, to have this series of racing with the DTM cars, car driver, let's say, not cars. And I was very pleased, actually. I wasn't hoping to get some backing, and pleased for the contribution, and that somebody came on board with my idea of trying to keep the hype on the championship that was on hold for most of the time, like many others.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. By the way, if you're here, let's ask you some administrative stuff. When is the second session coming up?
The second session is coming up in about 1 minute.
Oh, that's perfect then, because everyone is already keen to get into session. Also, our producer Hugo Lewis, who's doing a splendid job with the commentary, not the commentary, but with the pictures, and of course everything what you can see. And I hope you're happy with all the production and all the broadcasts that we did so far.
I'm very happy that I made this choice at the beginning of the adventure. Very professional on every side. So I'm enthusiastic, I would say, about the production. Only shame this race, unfortunately, due to the clash with the VLN, with the real racing, we don't have the usual amount of drivers. But the show, I hope, is still good, and the production is always at the same excellent level.
But I heard you asked Nürburgring to postpone the VLN, but they said it was quite difficult with all the trucks already being there.
They said it was too late, unfortunately. I should have called a week before, but that's on me, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we know the game behind this doesn't like changes. But I heard actually, talking about production, I heard them talking when we did the digitale Nürburgring Langstreckenserie, where I was also doing the first round with commentary on site. They were actually jealous about how many cameras on track we actually have around the Nordschleife, because I've seen so many people in the chat of the tonight's VLN or NLS, it's rather race, that they were so used to the esport cameras that we have that they say like, oh, these onboard cameras are lagging so much, the internet is so bad, because they were all so charmed by the fact that we have such a nice production in sim racing, that now going back to the normal stuff that we had whole last year, it feels different. It feels it doesn't feel as good, they said.
It will be a challenge. It will be a challenge now going back to the real racing.
There's no reset button.
Yes.
Yeah, as well. Okay, so the series is back online.
All right.
Best of luck. Forza, in bocca al lupo.
You've got 20 minutes to redeem yourself, mate. We'll be watching up in the booth and
it's gonna be
assessing your performance.
It's a 20 minutes of shame. Don't worry. I'm used to that. I've been engineering you.
Well, maybe go for the two-stop this time, or even the three.
By the way, Nicola, if you type in the as a race administrator in the chat !Y, I don't like the epsilon, then you will have a safety car of 2 laps. So.
Here we go. Job done.
All right, just go to the pits and then for the
safety car.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Even that can't save you.
All right, that was an interesting interview with Nicola Palacci, the boss of the series here, and tell us about your history together, Mr. Hawksworth.
Yeah, so I've known Nicola since the end of 2016, when I was racing with 3GT Racing, who were running the Lexus GT3 cars at the time. Nicola was my lead engineer, and I worked with him through 2017 and 2018. So we had a lot of fun, a lot of good times, and we've kept in touch ever since. I followed his career in DTM in 2019. Obviously, extremely successful with René Rast and with Audi. So that was really nice to see. And good to see him out there doing some laps on the sim. I've seen him in action before in a go-kart, because in 2018 when I was we were living in Michigan, and there was a go-kart track near where the race shop was, so we went down there a few times with the shifter karts, and he's performing about as well as I expected him to perform based on what I saw from when he was in the go-kart. So it's he's a really good guy, and it's I think he's put together a really cool series here, and I know there's not as many cars this time, but from what I've seen at the previous two races, I mean, even at this race still, there's a lot of big names, a lot of great drivers. I think it's been a really, cool thing to see happen during this break and during this downtime. So kudos to Nick on that.
It sounds like I should have joined, because I worked with Nicola in Abt in 2015 with the DTM, and when he moved over to the States, he kept on calling and saying, "Hey, you want to come over? We're looking for guys. You want to come over?" I think I missed a shot there. Probably should have gone with him.
I wouldn't say no if somebody asked me. I think, yeah.
I have to say that it is a lot of fun racing in the States. There's pros and cons to racing on this side of the Atlantic and then racing on the other side of the Atlantic. But I do think the States is a lot of fun. The tracks are very old school, and the style of racing in the United States is a little bit more, I guess, pure in terms of we don't have like the virtual safety cars, and if we do have a safety car, it's a real safety car, and the field's bunched up, and we have the pass arounds and things, and I just feel like it's a little bit more old school, and the tracks are a little bit less runoff and stuff like that. So
have you ever been to the Nordschleife? We're talking about runoff, because it literally has no runoff.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, obviously there's your exceptions. 100%. The Nürburgring is one that I've raced on the Grand Prix track, but never on the big one. But would absolutely obviously love to. But I was kind of more referring to, I guess, like the FIA homologated circuits and stuff like that, which become a little bit too sanitized of recent, I think.
But I think you'll never find the equivalent of Lime Rock. Even the Nürburgring was not the equivalent of Lime Rock back in the day with its roller coaster.
I mean, people still forget that the Nordschleife is actually a 70 to 80% full throttle track. So it's actually faster than some imagine it to be, which makes it even more dangerous. Thinking that, like, I think the widest runoff at the Nordschleife is about 20 meters, 60 feet, something. I don't know.
But from the engineering side, actually, the first 2016 with Abt, we ran the Bentley program, so we did VLN with the Bentleys, and as an engineer, I'd never seen any data from the Nordschleife before we were told we were going to go. So we figured, we've got to ask someone who actually knows what to look at. And when we saw the first data trace, it looks like you've put an entire session of DTM into one data overlay page because the lap is so long. And it was, it's quite a shock to know how to pick out things, because you really got to be selective. You cannot tell the driver, in turn 73, I think you can brake 3 meters later, and then turn 105, you probably need to keep the line a little tighter. So it was quite a shock, to see this.
I mean, there was always funny stories at the Nordschleife. For example, you have these two Touristfahrten entries. One is at this Devil's Diner at the Döttinger Höhe, and the other one is directly at the city of Adenau, which is below, where the bridge goes, and Exmühle, where you go up again before the long Kasselchen section, with this literally a long left-hander. And there was one car running out of fuel during the 24-hour race, and they parked it behind the Armcar over there, where the second Touristenfahrten exit is at the city of Adenau. And this dude ran down to the petrol station, or gas station for you, Jack, and they went down there, and he had to give in his watch as a caution, because he got a fuel canister and 5 liters of fuel just to make it back to the pits.
But with our Bentleys, we have unlike sprint racing, you have a mobile phone in the car. You literally tape a mobile phone in, which is for emergencies, because the radio doesn't always pick up on the far parts of the track. And so our team manager went around and he picked the one phone operator that has the best signal around the track. And it so happened that our car broke down in the one part of the track where there was no phone coverage. So we ended up having our team manager got a FaceTime call from an unknown number, and it was our driver who'd hopped the fence, grabbed the first person he saw, asked her mobile, and had to FaceTime our team manager to come pick him up, to bring him some spare parts.
Yeah, I mean, at the 24-hour race in Dubai in 2018, I remember the team running that BMW M3, I think it was an E46. They broke their wheel bearing and they didn't have any more and a fan from at the track. Actually, they just disassembled his car, took the wheel bearing and put it on the race car. That was these stories are amazing.
That's something you cannot buy in a shop, a race-driven part.
Yeah, it's just a wheel bearing.
A good souvenir.
Yeah, I mean, I had half of a DTM car already, losing its side almost completely. I gave it back to the team because that was quite a lot of carbon that you could recycle. So yeah, almost the qualifying is almost done. Let's look at the times check. What are you seeing?
Well, I'm just trying to get onto the times at the minute, mate. So maybe you take this because I'm having a technical difficulty.
Well, I see Senkowski, Rockefeller, Palarki, and Elsner still have to set a time by the looks of things. So we've only got top 4 who've set times so far.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, you can see Palarki with the 8:50 is shown. That means that he
That's a good lap. That's a good lap, though, for Nicola, we must say.
Yeah, that's a good lap. Now the 8:50 is just because he just went out of the pits after 8 minutes and 50 to do his lap. And I wonder if we really use the pace car, like the exclamation mark Y, to bring out the safety car for 2 laps.
Well, there's going to be a legitimate reason, so maybe he's got to hit the barrier himself in order to legitimately claim there was a safety car need to avoid any suspicions.
Yeah, but I think that would be very cool, everyone being bunched up again, and then they have the rolling starts as they used to, as we heard. But Nestorovic having P1 at the moment with a 1:55.38, followed by Ben Haley with a 1:57.82, and Mike Rogan. Well, Goofy and Elsner follow behind with quite some time.
We might need an American competition caution, where they bunch up the field just for the show.
Yes.
I mean, NASCAR caution.
When did they start with these competition cautions, by the way? When did that start?
Well, I think there's been suspicion that
that was practice.
Cautions have been kind of around for a while, but they just never really used to speak about them. But I don't know if they have the stage. At the minute they're doing stage racing in NASCAR, right? So you get to stage 1, stage 2, and I think that began in.
Must have been 3 years ago. 3 years ago, yeah.
17, I think. Yeah.
I mean that actually confused some of the European fans that weren't quite into NASCAR as they are into other series, for example, to get a hang about what was happening and with the stages and stuff. And but yeah, with the longer races, I mean, you get some races where there's literally not a lot of cautions in there, so it's a nice break to have, isn't it?
But hats off to NASCAR. They started again now in Rio with the first race behind closed doors, where the drivers had no practice. So you went out into the race, no qualifying, literally straight out. They got a couple laps behind the safety car brought them through the pits, and go. And there was one guy, I cannot remember who the driver was, who'd never raced. I think this was Martinsville track. Never raced in Martinsville before, and first laps was in the race in the NASCAR Cup Series. So hats off.
I mean, some people were quite scared, and actually you could see some moves that they did that they were doing on iRacing as well when they had their NASCAR series. So that was quite interesting to see, because they were driving so aggressively and going 4 wide into the first turn, which you would only see on iRacing, of course, Jack.
Yeah, 100%. You see some funny things online. And so certainly that's one of the more interesting things about the online racing is you do see things which aren't quite stuff you wouldn't see in real life, and I guess that's the beauty of sim racing.
Yeah, but also, of course, the medal has 2 parts. I think a lot of drivers, or at least some of them, have noticed that also sim racing can be a series that it affects your real life. I mean, talking about Dalia, for example, he noticed that his didn't come in.
Kyle Larson, I think it was, in the States.
Yeah.
Bubba Wallace as well. Now, before what happened to him, the last couple of days, I think he lost a sponsor because he sort of rage quit, pretty much.
Yeah. But I think sponsors and teams, they always have different reasons to let people go, and of course that was a perfect opportunity for them. I mean, of course they did wrong with what they did, but it sometimes feels very harsh to me.
Yeah, occasionally it might be a little bit, or at least from where we sit, it might look a little bit. I don't want to say an overreaction, but you know, even with Daniel, I don't want to get into that. You know, I guess we all have our own opinions on it, but you know, he has a contract to race real life, and he was made to race this, and ended up losing a drive. So maybe there was something underneath. Who knows?
Yeah, that's. I mean, Jack. Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, you have to. I think I followed it, you know, relatively closely. I wouldn't say, I have a lot of knowledge of it, but I have to think with that it was more of an opening to make a change rather than that was the whole reason that that decision was made.
Of course, you're still representing, you know, your employer. So for him, it's Audi Sport. You know, it's a big company, big team, and I guess even online, it might not be real racing, but the people watching are the same. So
I always say it's not real cars, but it's real racing. But the point of the whole thing was it was an official marketing event. So that might as well be why he also had to pay the penalty to the charity. I mean, I did a 1 hour and 30 podcast with 4 people about it. So yeah. I mean, that opens possibilities to new endeavors for him, even though it's were quite a few hard weeks. I mean, he could have the possibility at least. I mean, if you have the money, just get into the plane, get away for a week, and I think that did quite good for him.
Yeah, but he's the driver. I think he's possibly the only guy, or if not one of the few, who's done every Formula E race to date. So I'm sure if a drive, you know, frees up, he's probably high on the list, I think, of candidates to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see other Formula E teams actually thinking that he would be a nice spot, especially if someone drops out or something. Okay, so we have the first lap times in. That's Sankowski, Rogan, Rockenfeller, and Elsner, because before that was practice, now we have qualifying. Jack, does your live timing work again? Yep,
just looking at it at the minute, it looks like we're starting as we left off. Sankowski straight to the times, Rogan 2 tenths behind. So obviously the second lap the tyres are going to be a little bit warmer, and that's probably going to be the lap that we're going to see the better time, second or third lap. I'm assuming are we doing the 2-lap qualifying, or is this a time session?
I think, I'm guessing, well, there's the 4 minutes 50 still to go. But I guess we'll see. I think they ran right to the flag at the end, so...
okay. So we're probably going to see quickest times, lap 2, lap 3, once the tyres are up to temperature. So I would have thought this next lap for Sankowski is going to be the benchmark.
I wonder if anyone's going to try and use some tow just to get the last couple tenths. Although we also saw Formula 1 mess that up, so you never know.
Well, that's the thing with trying to, draft off each other, and it's when you're sat around talking about it, it seems pretty easy, right? But once you're onto the circuit and you've got to share a draft, and one car's got to go in front of the other, actually organising it is pretty difficult, and it's sometimes easier to mess the whole thing up than it is to just go out there and drive as fast as you can in clean air.
Yeah. I think we've got Toby back.
Yeah, I'm back actually.
I think we held the fourth pretty well there, Jack.
Yep, I think so, mate.
By the way, Formula 1 theme, or rather meme here on Monza. I mean, what was that all about? I mean, don't you have normally engineers who tell you what to do? I mean, usually.
No, I probably didn't say much before, but yeah, I work as one of those engineers who sits in the operations room back in the factory. So we're connected live with data, audio, video, everything to the track, and there are guys, let's say crunching numbers, all the strategy guys. You sort of have to predict, with the tires being as sensitive as they are, you have to keep them within a certain window, a certain temperature, so you have a certain pace you want on your outlap. And although Monza, I guess the tow is so important that sometimes it overrides the tires. You'll just get them hotter than you think, just so you can sit behind a guy waiting to go, which is effectively what happened. But you cannot control the guy in front. And if he wants to wait for you and you're waiting for him, at one point someone, you're sort of playing chicken. And I guess they all lost there pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how everyone back at the factory was like clapping their hands together on top of their heads and watching this in disbelief. Because I was.
Yeah, that was pretty daft. It's sometimes it's very strange when you're watching a race on TV, because you feel like you can you know, a lot of the time it seems obvious, you know, what the right strategy call is and what the right thing to do is, and you know, you see these mistakes happening in front of you, right? But teams still make them, and I guess it's that element of, you know, having to make a decision under pressure, which you know, which I guess opens up the opportunity for mistakes, because quite often when you know, if you think about something logically without emotion, it's quite clear, you know, what decision needs to be made at what time, but once you add pressure to that environment, then the decision becomes more difficult. I think that's probably you know, when you see these big teams you know, make strategic mistakes in Formula One, then I think that's, you know, probably what you're seeing more than anything else.
Yeah, exactly. I think you said it correctly, Jack. You know, you prepare a lot of scenarios before, but there's only so many things you can prepare, and when it happens, it's very unlikely that it's going to happen exactly how you planned it, and so you've got to react, and sometimes in the heat of the moment it might look like the right thing and turns out it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, I just remind you of what happened to Mercedes in Hockenheim, especially to Lewis Hamilton's pit stop. So that was something I didn't see for a long time. I think the last time I've seen something like this was when they only had 3 tires for the Ferrari ready back
You're
when
referring
Schumacher
to
was racing.
No.
I'm referring to the 2019 situation where they were standing there without 4 tires.
But you know, Mercedes are, you could almost say, a league of their own in Formula One, almost, and even the best make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, the Hockenheim 2019, that was I don't know, a thriller to watch. I mean, I like to rewatch it all the time and try to see all the little details of the strategies. I think that's the most interesting part for me. So, I mean, that's why I thrive with endurance races, because you can try to figure out all the strategies as a viewer.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching. There was a few last year where I thought, you know, that the strategy was obvious and teams didn't seem to jump at it. I remember the Singapore race when Vettel jumped, you know, ahead of Leclerc. I remember watching for 4 or 5 laps before those guys stopped, thinking, you know, whoever stops in this lead group here is going to, you know, first is going to have a massive advantage. So why are these guys not stopping? And you know, but yet, you know, it was Vettel, I guess, who blinked first and pitted and jumped everyone. But you know, even in that race, then I was looking at it like, I mean, what's the benefit of prolonging this first stint if you have a little bit, you know, a little bit left in the tires at the end, perhaps? But the advantage for, you know, track position wise of jumping in first was sub, and yet, you know, a lot of teams didn't take it.
All right, I have to get in there because we got a starting grid. Daniel Nesterovic on first position, followed by Mike Rockenfeller with 3,000ths of a second. Yeah. Then we got Goofy Pirro and Mike Rogan in position 3 and 4. That is followed by Ben Henley, and then only Nils Sankowski. Feels like sandbagging to me a little bit. Nicola not being last, but in 7th, followed by Martin Elsner with a starting number 1, 2, 3 in 8th position.
I must say, Nicola's just sent a message and he sounds very pleased at his P7 performance.
Oh, did he?
Unbelievable. I can't believe it.
Maybe if he drove with both hands rather than texting and driving, he might have even gotten P6. What do you think?
I just got the message, yeah. All right, so as we wait for all of them to hit the race button and get onto the grid here, what is your prediction on the top 3?
Oof, Jack, I'll leave this hot potato to you, I guess.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to take a flyer and say that Rocky's going to get the jump here, and it's going to be a really good race between him and Niels. And I got it wrong. Niels will get the jump.
There was already slight contact with number 21 there, but it looks like we got
now we've got
Daniel
to see
Nesterovic
first corner is always the tricky one.
Yep, there he goes. Goofy going for it, maybe. No, he's not. 4 wide into turn 1. That worked, actually. I'm surprised.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty clean, to be honest, because other than Spa, I think of the big tracks, this might be one of the... Oh, there we go. Said I spoke too soon.
And guess who it is?
Oh.
Yes.
No, but this is the showman in him. This is for the fans.
Yeah, where's the safety car, though?
Oh, wait for it.
All right, so Nesterovic in front of Pirro, Henley, Rogan Sankowski, as he just overtook him. And we lost another one, and that was Pirro. I'm very sorry for that one. But that looked like a self-inflicted accident out of the chicane.
It looked a little bit of outside wheel on the gravel, and your back end goes out.
And Sankowski got caught in it as well. So that's got to be a long drive for Sankowski this time around.
It's quite interesting to see what Hanley's pace is like here. He was kind of stuck in the mid-pack in the last one, but he's got a great start here, and Ben's very fast, so we'll see if he can kind of chip away at the lead here and stay in Niels'.
Well, Nicola's got the winner of the race 1 just in front of him. Maybe he can latch on and go further forwards.
I mean, yeah, that might actually work. So seeing Rockenfell in 4th position, I'm kind of sad. But now he can fight again with Rogan though. Hanley is staying close to Nestorovic, so that might work out for them as well. I'm really wondering what happened to Senkowski and especially what happened to Nicola.
Maybe we need to wait for the interviews at the end.
Well, I see Rocky's on his way back up to 4th here. He had I don't know what happened at the beginning of the race. It looked like he set off in 3rd or 4th gear or something. So unfortunately a bad start there for him, but he's managed to get going again and see if he can make his way back through to 2nd.
Okay, let's look at some of the replays that we have here. And there we see now the car of
Ben Henley,
25 Henley. Yeah, but let's start with the race start again from a different perspective than we had it before. So a good start there from Nestorovic, the one with the little black spot in front of it. A very hard start from Rogan, who really went for it and had some car contact. And then we got the 4 wide into turn 1, which actually looked pretty amazing and almost feels like Blancpain, right, Jack?
Yeah, that looks pretty crazy. Unfortunately for Nicola there, he just found himself on the outside. And then he's tried to... I mean, he tried to squeeze the guy into the gravel. I don't know what he thought was going to happen there. So, got to pin that one all on Palaci, unfortunately.
But I think that 4 wide, Jack, probably we would both have put money on someone not making the first corner when you go in 4 wide. But everyone seemed to come out of turn 1 at least, not the end of the chicane, but...
Yeah, that was shocking, eh? Like, both of the starts have been very, very clean. So it's actually been funny. The starts have been very clean, and then the next few corners have been where the spins and incidents have happened. But the guys have been really well behaved down at turn 1.
You know, the universe has to be balanced somehow. You know, so if turn 1 goes well, lap 1, maybe not so much.
Yeah, well, they say you can't win the race at the first corner, but it looks like you can win it at the second. So I think that's the strategy the guys are going.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's saying the driver's briefing, yeah, and remember, you can't win the race in the first corner in a 24-hour race, for example. 5 minutes later, they do it in turn 2.
Yeah.
Will we see a one-stop race again? That is the question.
Well, he's in the same place as he was last time, so I'm expecting him to pull something similar.
Yeah, but you know, Italians, the creative mind they have has to be used somehow. So we'll see what Nicola can come up with.
Yeah, if it's not a safety car, I still text him on WhatsApp. He's probably still online though. So he's probably still on WhatsApp in the drivers group writing or chatting or whatever. Tell him to use the safety car.
Yeah, he needs to be honest, his best chance is if he can get into the pit lane, get 4 new tyres, pull the safety car, and he's the only one with stickers, then maybe he can use the new tyres to get after someone.
Yeah, but make sure not to put the 90 kilos of fuel in. That might not help.
Yeah, I mean, 20 seconds of a pit stop. I thought, like, how long do they need for these tires on this car? Usually it's pretty fast. So yeah, apparently taking a lot of fuel isn't the goal you're looking for.
It's a splash with no dash.
Man, you guys are really killing me here, like literally. Alright, fight for P2 coming up, Ben Henley and Mike Rogan. Looks like these two might be in a fight at some moment soon. And we were talking about the slipstream actually, about how much it affects these cars. And it seems to be quite a lot.
You know, you got to remember though, obviously what you can gain on the straight, you can lose a little bit in the corners. You know, this isn't too much of a, let's say it's not a high downforce car, so like a single-seater. But there will be a little bit of an effect that might give you some understeer in the corner where you're following the car, but probably the gain on the straight is bigger than the loss you'll have in the corner.
Yeah,
especially with the low-speed corners. Yeah.
See Hanley trying to break the draft here, side to side on the start-finish straight.
That's something you don't really see very often in real life, these weaving just to get someone out of the slipstream, isn't it?
Well, I think in the US it's like potentially slightly different on at least in IndyCar and the ovals, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Jack knows more, but in Europe at least, there's rules that forbid you from doing this just to avoid dangerous situation. So you're allowed to do one move of direction and then you can go back to the racing line, but not anything more.
No, I mean, I'm still talking about the when you're so far away and just try to break the slipstream. I mean, you see it in the VLN, but that's about it, though.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you're allowed to do it as long as the car isn't, too close to your rear. Obviously, if you begin to weave when he's too close, then you get a blocking penalty. But I think it's a trade-off, right? Because the straight needs to be long enough that the draft is having more impact than it is because obviously if you're going left to right on the start-finish straight as well, you're adding distance and therefore you're not actually going up the straight as quick. So it's really, you need to have a long straight to make that beneficial, and really the only places that works are at circuits like Monza or Spa, in kind of so not the most powerful of car, where it's worth to go that extra distance and try and break the toe than it is to just head in a straight line.
Sometimes you've got to just focus forwards, though. Obviously keep an eye on what's behind you, but as Jack said, trying to defend too hard, you're just going to lose time. And if these guys want to make it to P1, maybe they got to work together a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can, especially with 12 minutes of the race left, Rogan looks quicker than Hanley at the minute. It's highly unlikely he's going to be able to hold him off for 12 minutes, though. At what point do you say, right, I'm just going to tuck in and follow him and try and see if I can learn something behind him.
But this is going to help Mike Rockenfeller, I guess.
Yeah, he's directly behind them right now.
Yeah, it's going to help. It's definitely going to help Rocky, and Niels will be having to see this as well. It's exactly what happened in the last race. He's nailed the start, he's the toe, and the guys behind are fighting between each other, and that's going to allow him to just keep building that gap.
We'll have a four-way battle for the podium here.
That's going to be interesting if that works. I mean, Rocky has gone 3 wide before already. It doesn't really fit here before the Lesmo, so probably be careful with that. But he got the first one.
Yeah, that's very serious experience.
Because Ben doesn't look like he's going to give anyone an inch here, so I think we'll see some pretty robust defending, and we've got 4 guys looking for second position here. Hero's not far behind.
And luckily we have 4 different colored cars this time.
Yeah, that makes things a lot easier. And look who's coming in the back as well. The GoPro car, who almost fooled everyone here in this commentary booth. Because I was really thinking that was the actual thing, the actual logo.
No, it was actually born out of a sort of joke from a friend of mine. I had a GoPro sponsor me for a year when I was in university doing some karting. I knew some of the guys at GoPro USA, and they were very nice to help us out. And so I sort of ended up going around. I was the guy with, 2-3 GoPros all the time. So my friends were kind of making fun of me, and one of them just came up with this thing. It's like, hey, GoPro, GoPro, yeah, GoPro. So that idea was stuck in my head for a bit, and after a couple of years, thanks to GoPro, I guess. Subtle thing that they don't really notice, but we have a good laugh at it, and it's sort of our own thing. We can put our name in it and we have a laugh.
Yeah, I mean, we've had it on screen like full size right now to see. Thank you for that, Hugo. Yeah. And I think the idea is quite cool. I mean, of course, we did a lot of wordplay with everything, and I mean, Jack, did you have such joke liveries as well already, or?
Sorry, I just had a bit of a problem with my headset then. What did you guys say?
About this livery, the GoPro livery, did you guys have, that have been sim racing in the real world, some laughs with the livery as well?
I'm trying to think, have I had any kind of super funny liveries? Not really, to be honest. Mine have all been pretty plain. Nothing crazy. I guess the strangest livery I had is there was an energy drink company which turned out not to be an energy drink company, but they were pretending to be one, and we had I think the company was called Energy or something like that, no pun intended, and we had those guys splattered all over the car. Other than that, it's been I've kind of not really had anything too outlandish.
But Toby, sorry to butt in here, but going back a bit to what we said with the guys losing sponsors, people like Jack, they're professional racing drivers, and to an extent, even if they're not obliged to race here, they still sort of carry the colors of whatever team they're racing with. So You know, we have the advantage, or my brother here, you don't have to answer to anybody, so you can kind of do whatever jokes you want.
Yeah.
Other guys maybe have to be a little bit more careful. Obviously, there's nothing offensive here where we have a laugh, but sometimes you've got to be a little careful.
Yeah, I mean, in German there's a word for that. It's four words actually. It's called Person des öffentlichen Lebens, which means it's like a public person. So you're always under watch, one could say, with what you do. So you really need to be careful what you do publicly and whatnot.
Yeah, well, Palarki is one such person, as a high-ranking public figure, you know, in the motorsport world.
Yeah, I mean, they all were from the motorsport world. I mean, being technical director, I mean, doesn't come out of nowhere. Oh, and there we go. That's Ben Haley. Almost
what a save!
Rockefeller. Wow,
Unbelievable.
Oh, I want to see the view from the rear of Rockefeller's car of that one, because that one must have been scary, I think, in the rearview mirror.
I think with a save like this, we might not even ask for a penalty. You know,
there you go. That's the replay with a view from Rockefeller's car. Let's see.
I think he put two right-hand side wheels on the grass, if I saw correctly the first time.
Yeah, the outside wheels
Yep,
was
there we
on
go.
the braking.
Oh, God. I tell you what, Rocky was lucky there. Unbelievable. Well, what a great save though as well. Like, yeah, he dropped his outside wheels in the grass, and
If this doesn't make an epic win YouTube compilation video, don't know what deserves to be there.
Yeah, I think we should send that one to best of racing streams. There's one guy on YouTube actually putting together a compilation of great maneuvers or funny moments from streams. So maybe send over to him.
But you know, props to him. No overcorrection or overreaction. You know, sometimes it looks like you saved it, and then they end up overcorrecting and spinning the other side. So really, props to Ben there, to really holding it when back on track.
yeah, are we gonna give him that one? Was that skill or was that luck? What are we saying?
I say 50-50.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that as well. Maybe a little bit more luck, to be honest.
You like a good lot of banter, isn't it, Jack?
He's one of Palarki's dogs.
All right, so 6 minutes and 27 seconds to go. Where did the last 14 minutes go? I didn't even notice them passing with that much going on track. So the guys are pretty much still close together to each other, but in the end, you know, it's not enough to make an actual overtake, to make something meaningful out of it.
Maybe there's some tactics. We don't know. Who knows? Maybe they're waiting for the last lap. You know, if you're in a four-way battle, might get tricky if you're the guy in the lead and towing the others. So who knows if there's anything like this going on?
Yeah, who knows? So Mr. Pirro is still the last one of this group of four, and then we have, of course, Mike Rogan, Ben Haley, and Mike Rockefeller. So there is still a good possibility that the second position gets decided. Nils Zinkowski, the winner of the prior race, is now 13 seconds behind the leader and 7 seconds behind the group we are watching right now. And Martin Elsner is 13 seconds behind those, and then all the way in the back is Nicola Palarci, but he didn't pit and he's not yet lapped, so that's a good thing. And he's in the top 10, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a better performance. He's obviously not a lap down. He's still 30 seconds off P7, and he did qualify in 7th, so I'm sure he'll be disappointed to drop that position. But I was hoping that you know, he was going to take a swing, come in for 4 new tyres, and you know, play the safety car card and try and get himself back in it. But obviously he's decided this time he doesn't want to go a lap down, and he's, you know, just going to try and bring it home. So, although saying that, he is hemorrhaging time right here, so perhaps he could become an issue if the leaders catch him. So
maybe it'll have an effect on the leaders though, if they have to go through lap traffic. We haven't seen that yet.
Oh yeah,
no, exactly. Yeah, and I tell you what, I expect that Nicola will be a bit unpredictable when you come up to the back of him in terms of, you know, where he's placing his car and stuff. So
you're talking about car, okay?
We could see some action there.
Well, we know in real life he's a little unpredictable. Now we'll see what happens on the track.
Exactly.
I mean, especially, I mean, I just heard in the interview before with him that Jack and him have a very interesting pre-story, and you seemingly as well, Chris. But is he as fun and relaxed apart from when stuff hits the fan like he is virtually?
I mean, I worked with Nicola for 2 years, and I mean, he's very dedicated to his job, and he's very, very good at his job. But he's very relaxed and enjoys it and has a good time as well. So, well, I say we had a great relationship and always had a good time. But at the same time, very competitive and wants to do well as well. So. Pretty similar guy, whether you're at the racetrack or off the racetrack.
Yeah, same for me. Very relaxed guy, but obviously very dedicated. What I admired of him was, and not in a negative sense, he was able to do the bare minimum to do the job, efficiently. There was nothing wasted. He did what had to be done, and you could see this because the year I worked with him, he was a couple points shy of the championship with Eduardo Mortara. So, really dedicated, but I would say efficient with his laid-back attitude.
So down to earth, you say?
Yeah, down to earth. But if he loses it, something's gone really wrong. Just because you can always count on him keeping his head cool when stuff happens.
Talking about keeping his head cool. Yep, Rockefeller was through. Ben Haley just got turned around by Mike Rogan there and is now back in 6th and in a position where he may as well be attacked by Martin Elsner soon.
Yeah, that was disappointing for Ben. He'd been defending all race, so eventually it kind of caught him out there. Still a big battle for 4th, and there could be a battle for 2nd as well here.
But almost a battle for 1st there. Sorry, Jack, to interrupt there, but look at Mike. It's 1 point, just over a second gap to 1st place.
So there are the Vietnam flashbacks coming on for these two. I mean, there was a 4-second lead before for Nestorovic. Then I think there were some mistakes talking about track limits, because his last lap was 1:53, 1:43, or maybe he was just easing off the throttle again, because we were talking about putting up a good show in the interview after the first round. So he might as well just ease off the throttle a little bit to allow a fight with Mike Rockefeller.
Hopefully for him, not too much.
I don't think you're going to get a racing driver to slow down, to be honest. I have to think that was a track limits violation or something, and that's what's closed it up. But yeah, Rockefeller might smell blood here and try go for the win.
Do you think Palarki might have imposed a penalty as race director?
Well, he's still driving around the circuit, and I don't believe. I mean, we have seen him texting and driving, but I don't believe the capacity is there for him to be able to keep the car on the track without going a lap down and start imposing penalties on people. Judging
looking for the
driving
I imagine him looking for the keyboard next to him somewhere while still concentrating on the race, and the moment he looks away, he goes straight on a turn or something.
Yes, but don't forget the use of his children. He might harness their potential. Oh, we see a move here.
Oh! Wow. Oh, and there's more contact, but can they keep it together? It looks like he kind of saved it, but lost a lot of time by doing that. Let's see the replay, Jack.
Yeah, so he's got the toe, and then he's gone to the outside here. The car in front's defending. This is a brave move, to be fair. It's not easy to do. He's gone to the outside, tried to brake late, and he's come across, to be honest.
Yeah, I hate to say, I think he closed the door a little bit too much there.
Yeah, I don't think he left enough space, to be honest. It could have worked, if he'd have just, perhaps hung on the outside a little longer, but a little bit aggressive.
One defense I have of my brother there is his monitor is not big enough to actually have mirrors in there, so you can only see the virtual mirror at the top, and that's it. So it's quite difficult to peripheral vision.
I mean, literally, you can set up the FOV of that virtual mirror.
Yeah, but
so
we played around with it a little bit. It's quite difficult once you find a field of view you like.
I was talking about the mirror. I mean, you can make your mirror look more. By the way, we're on the last lap, and this is the battle for the leads. It's more like a battle between archers, but it's still a battle.
Well, it's an interesting statistic here. We have 34 seconds between the leader and 7th place, and then almost that distance between 7th and 8th. So that gives you some indication of the difference between the top.
But I think we're going for the finish here.
Yep, we're going for the finish, and Daniel Nestorovic wins the second race. Does he?
Yeah, I think he got it.
I think he got it, yeah, just in front of Mike Rockefeller and Mike Rogan. I think from Rogan we will not hear an interview, though, because of the issues with the microphone. And there are the others coming in, Henley and Sandkowski going for it at the line. So Sandkowski only in 5th and Henley at 4th. And then Perot following with quite a gap on 6th position with the, I think, nicest livery that we have on track. Then we have Martin Elsner coming into the finish on 7th position, and somewhere, I think half a lap down, there should be Nicola Palacci also. Oh, there he is, beginning. Okay, that's quite so far away.
Yeah, let's have a look at his line through Parabolica. Whoa.
What line you were talking about? Yeah, okay.
Oh, he's lucky they put tarmac there now.
Yeah.
I think he's going for the aggressive V-shaped line that we sometimes use.
Yeah, or the high line, as they would say in NASCAR. He went for the high line.
Yeah, that looked a little bit more like a W, though.
Oh, I think he's gone for a burnout here. It's just for the fans, the showman in him.
Is he or is he not? He's probably already texting us on WhatsApp, is he? No.
Yeah. To be honest, I think that's the quickest I've seen him go all day.
I mean, his lap times weren't that bad, so let's look at the results. Nesterovic in front of Rockenfeller, followed by Rogan and Sankovsky, then Pero, Alsner, Hanley, and last but not least, Palacci. But for some reason, Hanley is shown as... he might have had some penalties yet pending. So, but Nicola Palacci still managed to get 8th.
But Sankovsky still had the fastest lap in that one. He was the only guy to drop under the 1 minute 50s.
Yeah, I didn't see what actually happened to him at the start, because he obviously lost some ground there. I don't remember seeing him go off.
I didn't see that one.
So yeah, the lap time from Sankovsky was the 1:49.925. So that's very fast. Oh, they're already here for the interview. Wow, that was quick.
Oh, maybe we didn't hear the knocking on the door. Oh,
hello,
there we go.
Yeah, come in. Oh, there they are. Hey, Daniel. Hey, Rocky. So, I have a question. Of course, congratulations for the first place, Daniel. But for what reason did the gap close from 4 seconds to 1.3?
I thought, maybe I'll try to, but I was a chicken. I didn't want to give him enough, make him come closer. But I wanted to have a battle in the end.
Yeah, I was too slow. It was nice of you, but I couldn't even, it was like 1.3 once, and then you took off. I didn't have the pace, for sure. First chicane I was good, but second chicane and Lesmo 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
You were way better.
It was fun.
Good showman. Good showman there, trying to keep it for the fans, put on a show for TV.
Yeah, we were talking to Nicola to throw a safety car halfway into the race to bunch up everyone again. But apparently, for some reason, Jack, he didn't do it. Maybe he chickened out or something. Oh, by the way, talking about him,
Speak of
he's
the
here.
devil.
Yeah, speak of the devil. There he is. Hello.
Fantastic race, Nicola. Another top 10.
Amazing. I think I had a chance also for like P7 or P8 was tough.
Well, I mean, you ran that guy into the gravel early on, and that was it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to stay clear in the first corner. Unfortunately, I should have worse start. That's the only thing I can do. This is the problem. Besides that, it's a disaster.
But we didn't see the safety car, Nicola. We were expecting, when we saw the spin, we thought it's a dangerous situation, and we half expected a safety car to come out. But race direction didn't think so.
I tried, but the software didn't help. Actually, trying to call the safety car went off other 2-3 times. So
Parabolica again, it crept up on you too quickly.
Yeah.
The TV picked you up on the last lap then as well, so we got to see your last lap through Parabolica. Interesting line choice.
Yeah. I was experimenting how to not do the Parabolica.
Look like the high line, mate, from NASCAR.
I will be. I'm ready. I'm much better in the oval actually, so NASCAR could take me.
We could do Daytona next time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the start again here for a second. And apart from Rogan being very aggressive on the first maneuver, swerving out, Jack, we had this nice 4 wide that we've seen in the beginning of the race, and I thought they're going to lose it already before turn 1.
Yeah, that was unbelievable, really. All 4 cars side by side, able to make it clean through there, so quite surprising, really.
But I think my question is, Mike, what happened to you from front row?
I have to say, I went to the toilet quickly and I came back, and I wasn't ready. I really wasn't ready. I mean, the lights were off.
Racing drivers and their excuses.
Yeah, I practiced the starts, and I thought now it will be good, you know. So it was a disaster. I just almost stalled in a way. So yeah, I think I went from P2 to, I don't know, P6 or something. 5.
You made it more fun for us.
Yeah, it was very great to watch, definitely. So, having everyone important in here right now, apart from Mike, Mike Rogan, whose microphone seemingly doesn't work, as I've seen on the Discord. Yeah, Mike doesn't have a mic though. Yeah, that's pretty sad. I really have to thank you, Chris and Jack, for all the puns that you put out today. It's great.
No, thank you for having us. I include you, Jack, I guess. Speak for both of us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was good fun, guys, and some good racing. So cheers for having me on.
All right. So, do you have any more questions to Mr. Nesarovic, Mr. Rockenfeller, or Mr. the 8th place Palaci?
No, not much from my side, to be honest. Just props to Daniel for taking the lead off the start, checking out, and then actually trying to close it up for the show.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
From Mr. Palarki.
Palarki, okay.
Hola. See you guys.
I like to butcher names, sorry.
Have a great summer, guys.
All right, so thank you, Rocky, for being here. Thank you, Daniel, as well. Nicola, yeah, if you want to stay for a second, that would be great, because you might want to tell us what's the plan for the future. Let's say for this series, maybe in summer even, or what else do you have in mind to do this year?
Well, the series it will be basically dictated by the driver lineup. I think that at the moment, as the summer season is on and the racing season is picking up, we'll probably have a larger break than expected. In reality, I wanted to have these races done earlier on in the season or in the year, but there were few issues with clashes because all the major e-sport events were 1 week after the other. So the idea is to come back in eventually to do another race if possible before the start of August, which is the start of the DTM season, and leave for as long as the DTM season is going, the championship on hold, and come back during the after season or winter. Basically.
Yeah, I mean the calendars are pretty packed. I mean, I've just seen the calendar of, I think, who it was, Calvin. Yeah, Calvin van der Linden, who posted his calendar online, and it was like totally packed. I mean, me even watching that stuff, I mean, I don't even find time for everything, to be honest. So yeah, I definitely understand it. And I heard that there is a face of Nicola on the car.
There was a tribute on the GoPro car. I don't know if we can see that, but to be honest, I saw now one of the replays and I realized that forgotten we put that there.
Oh, so yeah, let's see if we can get a slow-mo shot of the GoPro car on the rear left. A GoPro car, sorry.
That's the hit me corner.
Yeah, exactly. We'll move it to the rear right for Monza for next time.
Thank you.
All right, so there it is.
There we go.
Oh, that's nice. Looking at the rubber, making sure it's all the grip is fine.
I must be looking pretty worried back there.
I mean, that's a great idea you guys do with the livery. I think, Nicola, you didn't even notice that when you got the paint, right?
No. I was informed, and I thought it was really nice. And I mean, this is also one of the good thing of this series, that there's a lot of people that know each other, and I have to say I hope it's also entertaining to watch for this same reason. When we have all the regular drivers are all drivers that have been racing together for years, and you can see the difference. And I think also for someone that is joining the series as a sim driver, for example, this is something that is not common from the normal race drivers to find in the online gaming, because that usually short number of drivers altogether.
All Right, that is definitely a good idea. I mean, I like it. I'm totally into it. I mean, yeah, you told me already that that I'm very nice to the series. I mean, I'm your one-to-go contact, but all things have to end, and so does this at 8:30 here in Europe. So thank you again, Chris. Thank you, Jack, and of course, thank you, Nicola. That has been the Precision Sim Engineering DTM-ISH Lockdown Series, organized, of course, by the only one, Nicola Palacci. I still butcher the name. I'm so sorry. I learned some Italian. Until next time.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank everyone.
Yeah, my name is Tobias Brockman, and you've been watching on RaceSpotTV, produced by Hugo Luis, and I wish you a very wonderful weekend.